Hello and welcome to the People's Politics first interview leading up to the election this May. We are joined here by Cambridge MP, Lib Dem, Dr. Julian Huppert. Welcome, Julian.
Hi Sam, how are you?
Okay, I'm good, thank you. I've got here a Lib Dem leaflet here. I think you also fought on this issue in 2010. What progress have you made in bringing more mental health funding to Cambridge?
So mental health has been ignored for 30 years, or probably since the NHS was set up, and it's a great shame. And we see it in the stigmatisation that people are still sadly too ashamed sometimes to admit mental health problems. They're not treated well at work or at school. We need to change that. Within the NHS, there hasn't been support for it. For example, when Labour quite reasonably brought in targets for waiting times, so if you're going to have a hip operation, you can only wait a certain number of weeks, they ignored mental health. Mental health was never given any of that support. And as a result, more and more money was taken away. So I've been pressing to try to help out, and we've got some more money. So there's, I think, 1.5 million in this current year, extra coming in, 2.2 million next year.
Specifically in Cambridge?
For IAP, so psychological therapies. Nationally, we've got a lot more money in for £150 million for eating disorders in young people, because that's a huge problem.
You say about nationally, but the children's mental health services were cut by £50 million over this Parliament. So you're not winning the battle.
Well, actually,
nationally,
150 million extra is substantial new money.
Yeah, but still in children's on 50 million. Yeah.
So that's that's a net increase of 100 million. But we need to go a lot further. So I want to see an extra £500 million basically immediately into mental health, because it is a crisis. And that's about child and adolescent mental health, that's about mental health throughout the spectrum. That would make a huge difference. Here in Cambridgeshire we have a particular problem, which is that we're one of the lowest funded areas in the whole country for healthcare. So we get a very small amount of money, a lot less than West Norfolk, for example. We then have historic problems. So Labour set up very big PFI schemes in Peterborough and Hinchinbrook, which suck a huge amount of that money out. The money that's left gets allocated reasonably fairly, same as the rest of the country at least, between physical and mental health. But you start off with too little money, you end up with too little. We're getting an extra £20 million for health from the 1st of April. A good chunk of that will go on mental health, and that will help. But there is so much more that we need. So I'd like to see £500 million per year immediately added.
Where is that money coming from, do you think?
So
where would you see that?
It's part of a whole package for the NHS. So Simon Stevens, who's the Chief Executive of NHS England, has said that by 2020 we have to get an extra £8 billion into the NHS. We, as a party, have said, OK, that is our task. That's the essay we've been set, if you like. Yeah. How do we find £8 billion? So we've gone through getting rid of various tax schemes, so reducing benefit people get if a lot of people who save on pensions, getting rid of a few of the other allowances that there are. And overall, that finds over that period the £8 billion. Starting with £1 billion immediately that is available from whenever we're in a new Parliament. We'd have done it already if the Tories hadn't stopped it. Half of that, the initial £1 billion, would go straight into mental health because it is urgent. We've also been doing a lot of other things with the Crisis Care Concordat, which means that the police now work much better with mental health. That's beginning to make a big difference. We're trying to stop people who have mental health crises being held in police cells, because actually it is a health issue. And we need a complete change in how mental health is considered. There was a brilliant video that I'd urge you to have a look at from Frank Bruno, where he talked about his experience having a mental health crisis. He said that when he had a problem, 3 police cars showed up at his house. And the stigma, the effect that had on his neighbours, we have to change that. If somebody has a mental health problem, it's a health problem. They need to get the treatment.